Bring in show music, please.
This is Squawk Pod, and I'm CNBC producer Cameron Costa. On today's episode, it's Black Friday. The holiday shopping season is officially upon us, so we're going to the mall with CNBC's Courtney Reagan.
The cadence has changed for the day as far as when traffic peaks, but it is still a very, very important day for retail.
We're checking in on Shopify with President Harley Finkelstein's minute-to-minute sales numbers.
Skincare, vitamins, supplements, activewear.
So people are shopping for themselves right now.
Right.
And on Amazon with head of U.S. Prime Video, Jay Marine. The platform is touting Black Friday football and Black Friday shopping.
And we're going to have Black Friday deals happening all throughout the day that you can shop throughout the game and take action right from your couch.
Plus, the rest of today's news that got us squawking, like Russian President Putin ready for serious peace talks with Ukraine, and a cooling issue at a data center caused a major outage at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Thanks for having me in on a day when nothing's working.
It's Friday, November 28th, and Squawk Pod begins right now.
Stand Becky by in 3, 2, 1. Cue it, please.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. We are live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. I'm Becky Quick along with Steve Liesman and Robert Frank. Joe and Andrew are off today, but hello and wake up. If you are just getting up this morning, you better check things out. Early this morning, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange saying that its markets were halted because of a cooling issue at a data center. Among the markets that are impacted by this outage, stock index futures, crude oil prices, treasuries, and foreign exchange. The CME says that after the outage is resolved, it may take some time for moves in the impacted contracts to be seen. The data center operator, CyrusOne, just saying that it has restarted several chillers at limited capacity, and engineers are working to restore that capacity. We are going to show you some of the moves in the large ETFs that track the indices. Based on those proxies for the markets, we could see fractional gains for stocks at the open, and we probably should point out for you, too, that just before futures went down, it was looking like things were positive, pointing to a positive futures moves. I think the S&P futures were up by about 0.1% before that went down. And here's what you see right now in those major ETFs that tracks things. Invesco's triple Qs, that's up by about 0.4%. The SPDR for the S&P 500 up by about 0.25%, and the SPDR Dow up by just fractionally, just by less than 0.1%. We will continue to follow all of this. But guys, if you were looking at what happened last week, things were looking pretty good for what had been a relatively weak market, or weak month for the markets. Last week, you saw the Dow, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, the Russell 2000, and the Dow Transports all posting their fourth straight session in a row. And it really turned around the markets that had seen so much weakness for the month of November.
Yeah, you're looking at a pretty down month for November. It's the first time we've had a down month in November in a long time. It looks like it'll still be down, depending on what happens today. Now, today is already a low volume day.
Yep.
So this could be a little bit choppy if these futures issues don't get fixed right away, particularly in the Treasury market. As Steve knows, we're still riding the Williams rally, which was based on, John Williams saying that, look, we're probably likely should have a cut. And that's what really sparked that 4-day rally after questions about the AI trade. So if the futures are unsteady today, or there's wide spreads between bids and asks, it could be an interesting trade.
I just want to say thanks for having me in on a day when nothing's working. I mean, I haven't done this in like a year, and you had me in and nothing's working. I mean, it's all right. I mean,
there's no correlation.
Welcome to the big leagues. We're going to throw you right into the heat and the fire. Most things that people care about are not going to be traded.
And you feel good about these ETFs as proxies? They're okay?
Perhaps. I mean, I won't say I follow.
Why don't we just show the Mag 7? I mean, the individual stock futures are trading. We should point that out.
Right.
And since the Mag 7 have been driving the market, there has been a bit of broadening, but I think would be useful if we start showing those tech stocks, because those are the ones that have really driven.
I know this is pathetic to ask on national television, but when I'm looking at this 10-year at $3.99, is that a real quote?
I don't believe so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
And my Fed probabilities aren't working.
No,
that I don't know.
Fed futures are not trading.
Developing story. One of two Guard members shot in a targeted ambush shooting in Washington on Wednesday has died. Sarah Beckstrom was 20 years old. She began serving in the West Virginia National Guard in June of 2023. President Trump said she died of her wounds last night. The other guardsman was identified as 24-year-old Andrew Wolf. The president said he was in very bad shape and fighting for his life. The suspected gunman, Ramanullah Lakanwal, was also shot and taken to a hospital. The CIA said he's an Afghan national who worked with U.S. forces during the war in Afghanistan. Late last night, President Trump posting on Truth Social that he is, quote, permanently pausing migration from all third world countries. He also said he would end all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens.
Yeah, we don't know what that means, right? What does the freeze mean? Which countries are
the Wall Street Journal already
countries?
editorializing against this move by the president. I mean, this gentleman, this terrible person who committed this was working for the CIA in Afghanistan, and the Wall Street Journal pointing out this morning that is not helpful for U.S. forces that will eventually go in. There are many Afghans who have come back because they were in danger for staying in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Of course, by the imbroglio, perhaps we shall say, for how Biden exited there, but you still had to bring back these people.
Russian President Vladimir Putin's breaking his silence on the peace plan that was proposed by the U.S., saying Moscow is ready for, quote, serious discussions. He said that the plan could be the basis for future agreements, but no final version exists yet. And he confirmed that U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff is expected to visit Moscow next week and meet with Putin. A lot of intrigue over the past week about who leaked it and, whose motives and whether this will really throw a wrench into the process. But, this could be interesting.
Yeah, and to see if they are serious about it, because to this point it has been Russia that has been the bulwark that has kind of thwarted anything you could have going on in terms of peace talks too.
Apparently, Ukraine also said that that anything that forced them to give up sovereign territory was a non-starter for them. So it doesn't seem like the parameters of this are being embraced by either side, from what we can tell.
Dutch chipmaker Nexperia has published an open letter calling on its China unit to restore supply chain operations. The company said it published the letter after repeated attempts to establish direct communications through conventional channels, but did not get any, quote, meaningful response. Now, in the last few minutes, this is important, Nexperia China did respond with a statement saying there's no situation where, quote, it cannot be contacted. So that's kind of strange. It said the Dutch company has implemented destructive measures against its employees, including deleting email accounts and terminating IT access, and that it demands the company, quote, abandon improper intentions to replace Chinese capacity. Now, why this matters? Well, it's a big problem for automakers because Nexperia makes billions of low-tech chips that are used in cars, connect the battery to the motors, for instance, the lights to the sensors, braking systems to the airbag controllers, entertainment systems, all that stuff. Automakers have repeatedly warned of a looming shortage of these chips, given that could halt production. So this appears to be kind of intra-company battle between Nexperia and its China unit, which maybe was worried about some treatment of workers. But they have phoned home, it appears, or at least issued a statement. So we'll see whether that actually affects the production of these chips or not. But kind of a strange situation where they both went public. Nexperia saying, please call us, and the company in the Chinese unit saying, we have, and there's this issue. So.
Wow. That is a lot to take in. And by the way, there's a story on the front page of the Wall Street Journal today about a very interesting situation with Intel hiring a TSMC, a Taiwan Semiconductor chip executive, and Taiwan now investigating that executive's residence, saying that they're worried he's going to be taking TSMC secrets with him back to Intel. He's Taiwanese, but he does have a PhD from Berkeley, and he worked at Intel starting in the 80s until 2004. He was responsible for a lot of Intel's superiority in the chips industry. He went on an advisory role for TSMC starting last year, and the company was fine with that. They say they thought he was going back to academia, but when they found out he's going to Intel, it really sparked concerns. And I can understand that from Taiwan, because if Taiwan doesn't have the U.S. kind of beholden to its chips, it probably feels like it is much less secure in terms of a China takeover, in terms of leverage for that. So, he's saying no way. Intel's saying they don't think there's any problem here, that this is a spurious kind of investigation. But you start thinking from a nationalistic point of view, from Taiwan to see what's happening with this, how the United States is so eager to make sure we are no longer as reliant on Taiwan or China or anybody else.
Right. So it's geopolitically sensitive. It's also so commercially sensitive now, because in this AI race, whoever gets the leg up in providing those chips, whether it's to NVIDIA, whether it's to Google, whether it's to everyone else, I mean, that is the growth, right? And so if they've got secrets from TSMC that are useful in AI production, which I'm sure they are, and I'm sure that's the core of the issue. There's a lot of money in stake.
But it sounds like this guy in particular is, like himself, a walking reason, a guy who was very responsible at Intel for a lot of the growth for 20 plus years before going to TSMC. You didn't see the United States kind of saying you can't leave with those secrets when you go over. And by the way, this
maybe Intel just didn't have them.
Yeah, well, but it's when he did, he was responsible for a lot of Intel superiority leading up to that.
Intel was successful,
was still leading. But you can bet the U.S. government's going to have a say in this too, because they now own 10% of Intel.
Right,
so,
that's true.
From the geopolitical perspectives on this, things are going to get hotter and hotter.
Yeah, that's true.
Cheese will be next.
Coming up next on Squawk Pod, Black Friday's in full swing. Shopify president Harley Finkelstein has the data on when, where, and how consumers are shopping this year.
Consumers are kind of starting with a TikTok video, then they're moving to the online store, then they're moving to Roblox, then they're going to the offline store. And so what we're trying to do at Shopify is power every single channel.
Plus, CNBC's Courtney Reagan is on the ground at the mall.
There's lines at Lululemon and Hollister sort of down this quarter. Lots of Gen Zers.
We'll be right back. This is Squawk Pod.
Up and Becky, Q.
You're watching Squawk Box right here on CNBC. I'm Becky Quick along with Steve Liesman and Robert Frank. Joe and Andrew are off today.
The retail sector is shifting into high gear for Black Friday. Our Courtney Reagan is live at the mall in Paramus, New Jersey with the setup. Courtney, what does it look like?
Hi, good morning, Robert. Perfect timing, because truly the doors are just opening right here behind me. Aritzia is the store right behind me. There has been a line that has been forming and everyone is flowing in. There's lines at Lululemon and Hollister sort of down this quarter. Lots of Gen Zers, as you might expect, hitting the stores early. And I can tell you from covering Black Friday over the last decade and a half, the cadence has changed for the day as far as when traffic peaks. But it is still a very, very important day for retail. The National Retail Federation, as a matter of fact, does it predict that 130.4 million Americans will shop in some form today, making it the biggest day of this critical 5-day stretch between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday. Retail traffic counting firms forecast today will again be the biggest in-store shopping day of the year, even if not as many shoppers line up for those doorbusters as in year past. It's still the biggest of 365 days of the year. Now, Adobe predicts that U.S. online sales will hit nearly $12 billion today. That's up more than 8% from last year, which also is the biggest growth rate of the 5 big days between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday, what's often referred to as Cyber Week. Salesforce says that e-commerce sales on Black Friday did surpass Cyber Monday totals last year and think they will again this year. Now, consumers, they're already awake and shopping, yes, behind me, but also online. According to Captify's network of 3 million websites, the top searched retail brands on Black Friday compared to last Black Friday. Apple, those searches up 315%, H&M up 248%, Samsung up 133%, Marshalls, that's owned by TJX, up 116%, and Adidas up 115%. Now, Thanksgiving Day, of course, the kickoff for what's considered this Cyber Week. As in recent years, orders surge post-Thanksgiving dinner. Third-party logistics company ShipBob says its peak was between 9 and 10 p.m. Thursday, and that peak hour was 182% higher traffic-wise than the day's low point, which was between 7 and 8 a.m. on Thanksgiving. Toys and games held the #1 spot, led by sales of Tonies. That is one of those hot items, at least it was expected by retailers like Target and Walmart and Kohl's. ShipBob CMO Casey Armstrong is somewhat surprised that beauty surged to the #2 spot as far as categories go at 118% growth compared to this point last year. So we will see what happens, but as the cadence has changed online with the peaks happening later in the day, same thing happens here in store. Yes, there's doorbusters, but in a lot of cases, the traffic really picks up as the day moves on. Back over to you guys.
Yeah, Court, you mentioned H&M and Marshalls as being two standouts there. Those are obviously price-sensitive retailers. What do you see in terms of promotions, price promotions? Paramus has a pretty wide range of brands, but are you seeing any big sort of price promotions yet, or do you think we're going to see those closer to Christmas?
So I would call the promotions fairly typical from what you see on a Black Friday. So 30-40% off in some cases, which are pretty big percentages off, particularly when you have a retailer like an H&M or behind me an Aritzia that is offering sort of a blanket discount across the store, which you don't often see for the rest of the year. But shoppers did tell Deloitte that they plan to spend about 4% less on this 5-day stretch. But remember, what shoppers say they'll do and then what they actually do can end up being very different. Look at the consumer confidence numbers we got from the government this past week. They were pretty dour. But when you look at what the retailers were seeing and what they saw, they said actually shoppers are buying, especially when you offer them something that they find value in. And value means more than just what it costs. But if it increases performance, if it's a sporting good, for example, is what Dick's Sporting Goods says, or it has newness as far as a fashion apparel item, consumers are buying it, and even without a discount.
All right, Court, thanks so much. I know we're going to see you throughout the day. And
Thank you.
Tell us later, I'm sure, how many actual shopping bags are full later today as opposed to people just coming in and looking.
Exactly.
Thanks, Court.
Black Friday is in full swing this morning, and our next guest is powering many of those sales. Harley Finkelstein is the president of Shopify. And Harley, thank you for coming in today.
Great to be here.
You've got data that is not just up to the hour, but up to the almost minute.
We do, yeah. We have minute-to-minute data right now. As we talked about, we have about 12% of all U.S. e-commerce on Shopify. Obviously, most people think that we support small business, which is our bread and butter. But some of your favorite brands, from Alo to Viore to Figs to Gymshark to Mattel, also use Shopify as well. And so I have top product categories. I also have
is that
top trend.
live
so this
now?
is live.
Sales per minute
so right now, 2.4 million sales per minute.
Becky, get off the phone, Becky.
As of midnight?
Becky, get off the phone.
No, but that 2.4 million as of when? I mean, since starting at midnight?
Sorry,
now?
so right now we're seeing 2.4 million sales per minute.
Every minute.
Every
Wow.
minute. 23,000 change orders per minute. And since last night when we started counting, 17 million unique shoppers across all stores on Shopify. What's really cool is every one of those little dots, so that's a store, and that's the arc is actually where it's being shipped to. Something else that's really cool. Every 26 seconds, a brand new entrepreneur is getting their first sale right now on Shopify. So those little fireworks, that's a new entrepreneur being born effectively
it's
on
like an
Shopify.
angel gets their wings.
Exactly, that's
amazing.
exactly right. Let's go into top product categories. So right now, top product categories: skincare, vitamins, supplements, activewear.
Wow.
So there is
wellness, fitness.
That's right.
Wait, skincare,
vitamins, supplements, activewear.
So people are shopping for themselves right now.
Right.
Not for other
Only people who do yoga are shopping,
Well,
apparently.
makeup also is doing
It's
well.
women who are shopping for themselves. I'm telling you that right now.
Yoga women.
Let's talk about trending merchant
All
products. So
women.
right now, the Alo Yoga Accolade crew neck pullover is trending.
Very soft.
Cozy Earth bamboo sheets, and Merit Beauty Flush Balm is also trending right now. Here's something that's really interesting. Home seems to be the hero the last 12 hours or so. Last year was more the outside. You saw things like ski equipment, adventure equipment, camping. This year, you're seeing a lot of Christmas tree 3-wick candles from Goose Creek, Caraway cookware sets. You're seeing puzzles. You're
So
seeing
back to
blankets.
the home, because we did the home in the pandemic,
Last
and then
year
we
was
got
like, get out of the
tired
home.
of the home. I'm done with the home. I got
Now
enough
we're
stuff
back home.
outside.
Now we're back at home.
Now we're
Harley,
back home.
how much of the physical sales that you are seeing are being driven by discounts?
Interesting you say that. So one of the things we're also seeing is that certainly discounts are there and people are waiting for it, but it seems to be that consumers are actually looking for value more than they're looking for discounts, meaning they're voting with their wallets to buy from brands they love. If they love Viore or they love On Running, they're waiting for discounts from those particular stores. The other thing that's happening
How big are the discounts, really, on average?
The truth is the discounts range from anywhere from 10% up to 30%, which is usually average. Steve, you probably look at that as much as I do. But the thing that's interesting is that a lot of the traditional online retailers, so for example, Gymshark, which is pure online, they're now opening up offline stores. Figs, which is the hospital scrub company, they open up physical stores near hospitals so that during lunch breaks for healthcare workers, they can go downstairs and buy directly there as well. Tecovas, which makes, I think, the best cowboy boots on the planet, they're opening up these saloons all over America, 50 stores. That's a Tecovas. That's a pure online store, historically, that now have 50 offline stores where you can go and get your boots shined.
Wait, an offline store is brick and mortar, right?
Brick and mortar, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird. You came at it from a different angle.
Yeah, so brick and mortar. That's right.
Okay.
Now they're moving offline.
Can we put you in the corner and come back to you every 10 minutes
yes,
or
you
so
absolutely
for
can.
a report?
I just, one more thing, though. Something else that's happening is, you're going to hate this term, Steve, because you study this too, but I do think also what's happening is it sort of feels like a post-omni-channel world right now. What I mean by that is consumers are kind of starting with a TikTok video, then they're moving to the online store, then they're moving to Roblox, then they're going to the offline store. And so what we're trying to do with Shopify is power every single channel so that consumers can find their products wherever they want to do it. As opposed to this online versus offline, it's really retail everywhere.
You power bricks and mortar stores?
We do, yeah. We have tons of physical retailers that are using Shopify point of sale.
We can't let you go without asking what I think is probably one of the most important. How are we doing relative to last year or relative to prior years?
We're doing better than last year.
How much? Can you tell us?
I can't tell you yet.
When can you tell us?
Still too early. On Monday, I'll be able to. Monday afternoon, I can tell you what we did. Last year, we did $11.5 billion over the 4-day period on Shopify. The year before was $9.3 billion. We'll see what happens
Can
this
you
weekend.
correct for inflation and for the growth of your business in that data?
We do. I mean, obviously, we do have more merchants joining as well. In terms of inflation, obviously, one of the things I said this on the last earnings call, we have not seen our merchants increasing pricing all too much, which is really interesting. So they're actually keeping it fairly standard. But the thing that we are certainly seeing across the board is that this direct-to-consumer, these brands that have this connection with the end consumer, they're doing really well right now. And most of consumers' favorite brands are on Shopify.
Becky has the thanks here, but I just want to say, Harley, stay in constant touch.
Okay.
Thanks.
It means a lot.
Yeah, Harley, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And we want those numbers on Monday.
Next on Squawk Pod, how another shopping power player is managing this holiday. Amazon's head of Prime Video, U.S. Global Sports and Advertising, Jay Marine. It's shopping and sports all in one.
We started this tradition a couple years ago with Black Friday football, and we've really invested a lot to grow that on behalf of Amazon customers.
We'll be right back. You're listening to Squawk Pod today with Becky Quick, Robert Frank, and Steve Liesman. Robert Frank kicks things off.
All right, attention sports fans. Amazon Prime was going to air the Black Friday NFL matchup between the Eagles and the Bears later today. Joining us now, live from Lincoln Field, it's Jay Marine, Amazon head of global sports and advertising, as well as the head of Prime Video in the U.S. Jay, great to see you this morning. 15 hours of live programming today. Tell us what that means for viewers and what it means for Amazon.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's going to be a fantastic day for Amazon customers today. You know, we started this tradition a couple years ago with Black Friday football, and we've really invested a lot to grow that on behalf of Amazon customers. So we'll have 15 hours of live sports for fans and customers at home. There's no Prime membership needed. We're making this available for free to all Amazon customers. It all starts at 9 a.m. with the Capital Skins game. We worked with the PGA Tour to bring that Skins game back. We'll go then right at 1:30 right into our pregame for Black Friday football. We have an incredible matchup with the Eagles hosting the Bears, both teams in first place in their division. And, of course, the crowd and atmosphere at Philadelphia is just fantastic. And then we'll go right from there to Madison Square Garden, where the Knicks are hosting the Bucks. That's actually an NBA Cup elimination game. And then we'll go out west, where Luka and the Lakers are going to host the Mavs. So really, if you're a sports fan and an Amazon customer, it's going to be a fantastic day. And we're going to have Black Friday deals happening all throughout the day that you can shop throughout the game and take action right from your couch to take advantage of all those deals today.
So I could see why sports fans would love this. Now, from an investor point of view, we know that Amazon has invested a ton of money into the NBA, into the NFL, into these other sports franchises to get these licenses. What return are you seeing so far, or what returns do you expect from all that investment? Yeah,
it's a good question. It is sports are really working for us. We've been at this for a while now, and it's not just here in the U.S. Of course, we have the NFL, NBA, as you mentioned. We have NASCAR. We recently announced we'll be broadcasting 4 additional hours of the Masters. But in Europe, we have Champions League soccer across the UK, Italy, and Germany. In Canada, we have NHL. So what you really see us doing is bringing Prime members the biggest top-tier sports in their country. And so our goal is to add more value to Prime, make Prime the best membership program in the world. So what does that mean? That means Prime members are getting more value than we're asking them to pay. And sports is another piece to that, to add on to everything we're doing in entertainment in Prime Video, everything we're doing with same-day shipping across the retail business, as well as Prime Music. So if we continue to do that and deliver for fans and deliver for Prime members, the rest takes care of itself. And we like what we're seeing. And the other thing I should probably add here is, advertisers also like what they're seeing with us. So, as you can imagine on Black Friday, but also across the entire year, advertisers have responded to what we're able to offer on Prime Video in our entertainment as well as in sports, because we can really offer full funnel advertising and a chance to really close the loop all the way to purchase, which is great for customers, but it's also great for advertisers.
Hey, Jay, that was what I was going to kind of follow up and dig a little deeper into. I understand Amazon saying, okay, Amazon Prime has to be very important. Prime Video has to be very important to driving and making sure we're offering all of these things. But I bet also as the business leader of Prime Video, you're looking at it and saying, we want to be profitable. I know advertising for Black Friday on Prime Video was up 40% year over year, and that's incredibly impressive. But is Prime Video profitable if you strip it out and just look at what you're spending versus what you're making?
Yeah, I think, as you know, we don't break that out. What I would say is we really like what we're seeing. And as proof of that, you see us investing more in sports, continuing to invest more in entertainment, because at the end of the day, it all has to make sense and make financial sense and over the long run. And what we're seeing, we really like on that trajectory, which is why you continue to see us do more. And we're always going to try to find ways to invest more on behalf of Prime members and into the Prime membership. I should also add that the other thing we're doing differently this year as a first is all of these sporting events are going to be made available globally. So again, that's free to any Amazon customer globally. And so this will be the first year we're taking an NFL game globally. And, I give a huge amount of credit to Roger Goodell and that whole team for helping us to make that happen. And they've really done a fantastic job growing their international fan base with the number of games they're playing across the globe. And you watch the fandom that turns out for those games, whether it's in Munich or London. It's really fantastic. So we're excited to be a part of that.
All right, Jay, joining us from Lincoln Field. It's going to be a great game today between the Eagles and the Bears. We appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a great Black Friday.
I want to thank both Robert and Steve for being here with me today. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Happy holidays to all of our CNBC family and viewers.
That's right.
That's the podcast for today and for this holiday shortened week. Enjoy the Thanksgiving weekend. Squawk Box is hosted by Joe Kernan, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Tune in weekday mornings on CNBC starting at 6 Eastern to catch them live. You can also follow Squawk Pod wherever you get your podcasts. We'll meet you right back here on Monday. Happy digesting.
We are clear. Thanks, guys.